We can cut off here. Jay, did you have to say something?
I don't have anything to say except, okay, also please cut out this piece in post. I'm sorry for getting distracted earlier and not hearing the question you asked. I have played Kingdom Hearts 3, I just haven't played Remind. I was distracted by pictures of Naruto.
Okay.
Please don't put that in the podcast.
This is going to be the opening of
I
the
was going to
podcast.
say this is going to be the intro. We're putting this in the intro.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely the intro.
No, please! I'm just a boy!
Too late. And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Perfect Parry podcast. My name is Ryan Seals.
This is Jade.
And this is Fox.
And we are here, as always, to answer one very important question. Fox, what you been playing lately?
So not a lot new. Really quickly, I finished up what's the current update of Hades. That game's really fucking good.
I still need to get around to that.
It's really good. Currently there's about 4 like not levels, but like I guess like tile sets, I guess is the best way to describe it, because you kind of like are running up through Hades. The idea, I think we talked about it in like a previous episode, I think almost a year ago at this point, because it's been in early access for a year, is you're playing Zagreus. I can't remember what the original Greek myth is, but in this one he is the son of Persephone and Hades. And he's trying to leave Hades to go find his mom. And, of course, like, Hades, his dad, not the place. Hi, my name's Lindsay. For the 5 of you who get that reference, you're great. So, yeah, he doesn't want him to leave. It's like, no, like, nobody leaves Hades. Like, unacceptable. When it first came out, there was only, like, one kind of, like, tile set area for this roguelite. And then you're just kind of going through it.
Yeah, and now it's like a god dating sim.
Oh yeah, all of the gods are hot, right?
All the gods are fairly attractive. They are done in that transistor art style by I always forget her name. It's like Zen something. Fuck,
Oh
I
god,
forget
I'm
it.
blanking on it too, and I'm mad at myself because she is unbelievably talented.
Yes,
she's like one of my favorite working artists.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, that's what it is. I knew it was like something
how
really
do we
short.
forget that?
That's what was bothering me, because
how
I knew it was like
the fuck
6 letters. It was like 6 letters, and I was like, I can't fucking remember it. But yes, all the Greek gods are amazing looking. They have most of the Olympians at this point. When it first came out, I think there was like 5, and it was like Poseidon, Hades. Hades is like not someone that you get boons from, because you meet Olympians and they give you upgrades and stuff. At first it was Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, and I think Ares. And since then they've added about 3 more or so. Hermes, Dionysus, and Athena. Or not Athena, Artemis. And then I think in the next update they're going to add another Olympian. I have to assume it's going to be a Hephaestus.
What about Kratos?
Maybe. That would be a sick tie-in.
Add Kratos.
Go sit in the fucking corner.
But yeah, so they've been updating it every, I think, 2 months for the last year. So now it's like a full game. It's a really fun roguelite. If anybody gets the chance to play it, it's like $20. You get like so much time out of it, because it's literally like the classic roguelite of you're constantly trying to improve your runs. And with each run, you get like new equipment to upgrade, and you can like invest in like, oh, okay, this will make each run better. And it's also got like the best roguelite of each run feels very, very unique, because typically you're switching out weapons with each one, and every time you go through you're getting new upgrades from the Olympians. So in one run you'll have a bow and arrow that is shooting lightning, and the special causes poison damage. And then in another run, you'll have like a sword that has a really good deflection buff, and also has like splash damage. And you're always like trying to like reconfigure how to optimize your current set as you're going through it, and then be like, okay, this is the best one for this weapon, or I'm currently running this type of build. So when you get like a new upgrade choice, because every time you get an Olympian bonus, it's like, which of these 3 options do you want to pick? It doesn't just like force an upgrade. It's like, which of these upgrades do you want? So you get to like cater your play style a little bit, and that's really fun. So it's a really addicting.
What was it? How often do you stumble into, like, useless items in there? Because that's always, like, one of my biggest frustrations with it. And I get that that's kind of the point in a lot of them. Like, Binding of Isaac very deliberately has certain items that are just intentionally garbage for the point of screwing you.
Yeah, that game is very malicious towards its players.
Very
Purposefully malicious, but...
Have you seen how they treat Isaac? They have no respect for you.
Very rarely. Because that's the thing, is that throughout your runs, each little encounter, each room you go into, once you finish the little encounter, usually you're fighting off, Hellspawn and whatever, it presents you usually with about 2 doors, and each door will show you what the next room is going to pay off with. Either it'll be cash that you can use during the run, but disappears once you get killed and you have to restart. Darkness, which is currency for the like hub world that you get sent back to, and then you can cash into like permanent passive buffs, and then Olympians, and you can even see which Olympian it's gonna be. So you can be at a door, and it'll be like, here's the Ares door, and here's the Athena door, and each of the Olympian gods have like a specific type of bonus to them. So if you know, I'm using this type of weapon and it's best to have this type of buff, then you can literally plan it out in your head and, better cater to it. So it's very rare that you get like, oh, this sucks. Like, this just absolutely sucks.
It sounds like if you wind up with a bad build, it's at least in part your fault.
Yeah, like sometimes it can just be like a bad luck of the draw, but very rarely do you just get like, here's an absolute shit. Maybe you might get like a bad pull with the Olympian bonuses, and it might just not be like really good stats, but it's still like an upgrade. It just isn't like the best upgrade it could be.
Okay, yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where like I'm at such an impasse with that game because I really do genuinely want to play it, because Supergiant like may very well be my favorite independent developer. Yeah,
I would say that.
I feel like that's pretty true.
A safe call, at least.
Yeah, because like, I mean, all of their games have been 10s, like literally all of them. So,
and this game, I would probably put up like really high up there. And you know how highly I put like Transistor up.
Transistor,
and this is like
Transistor
up there.
So
like
hard.
when I get the actual finished product, I'll be able to tell you. But as it is right now, it's got so many unique things about it that like make it feel like such a refreshing version of a roguelite that I can't not see this being like a favorite game ever once it's a finished product. And I feel like they're only like a few updates away from hitting that point, because they said mid-ish 2020. So I feel like we're only a couple updates away from them being like, okay, this is finished.
What was it? Yeah, that's probably going to be when I pick it up, just because like I do really want to play it, and I'm 100% sure it's worth the money right now. But it's also 100%. Like, it's also a matter of knowing where I want to spend that first impression, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. But that's what I got. That's all I got to say about Hades.
Yeah.
Jade, what have you been playing?
Okay, so I've been playing mostly stuff on the Switch. I played the Goose Game, and then I also have been playing Link's Awakening, the Switch port.
It's so adorable.
I love the art style of the remake. They added a couple of extra features that weren't in the original that I really like. But before I get into that, I'm going to preface it with, I haven't actually played the original Link's Awakening. I've played a lot of Zelda games at large, but this one just kind of slipped me by.
I mean, it's an easy one to have you slip by. Like, it never really got a massive...
It's a GB game?
Yeah, it just a straight up GB, not even a like GBA or Game Boy Color or anything like that. I think because there was the DX re-release that added color, but yeah, no, it was never one of the ones that really blew up. It was definitely like a fan cult favorite.
So this was my first exposure to it. It's so charming. And I don't usually like isekai, but like I usually don't.
Oh my god, sweet Christ!
I
dude.
knew this is where it was going.
It is an isekai, okay?
So is Final Fantasy X. You don't see me going off about it. Final Fantasy X is a reverse isekai. Ow, what? What'd I do?
Get out of my house.
Call the cops, see if I give a fuck.
Okay, so, my first impressions is that it is very classic Zelda, because it is one. It has that charm of exploration and having to uncover the whole map. And one of the things I've always liked about classic Zelda games, the top-down one specifically, is that it gives you a lot of incentive to go back to old areas, but not in a way that feels boring because you now have access to do cool shit. Like, oh, this place that you couldn't go to before, well, now you have this cool-ass new item or this cool-ass new skill, so you can do this cool thing here where you used to not be able to. And there's a charm to that. In terms of, like, the character writing is so charming in this game.
It's because they had the freedom to just do, like, whatever they wanted. That's what's really cool about that game at large, is, like, you look into the development of it, you find out it was quite literally an after-school project, effectively.
I know, the little Goombas.
And they were just throwing whatever the hell they wanted in there. No one cared. It was just like a free-for-all, and it just became this soup with every ingredient that somehow tasted delicious.
Wait, in terms of like the new one or the original one?
Kind of both. Because, like, the new one is a very, very faithful remake, it feels like. I haven't done one-to-one comparison of everything, but, like, I played Link's Awakening. As a matter of fact, I think it may have been the first Zelda game I actually finished. But, like, I grew up with it. I really loved it. And so, like, I've been seeing, you know, I haven't been playing the remake that much myself, but I've seen a lot of it at this point. And it feels, even the, like, stuff I expected to be cut, like, stuff like the Chain Chomp and the literal actual Goombas and all of that.
Look at these Galoombas!
But they can get away with it because the entire thing, like, by premise, is a dream. Like, so, what was it? They can just get away with throwing in whatever elements they want, and it doesn't matter how hard it clashes with continuity, they can get away with it. And that's how we get Chain Chomps in Zelda.
It's super cute and very charming. I love all of the character bits, like hanging out with Marin. She has this really cute thing where if you bring her into the game shop, it turns out she's really good at the claw game and she fucks with the owner. And there's this goat that catfishes a human man with a picture of Princess Peach. And I lost it. It was so funny.
Video games are great.
It's really charming, and oddly enough, by the end of it, because all of those characters were so charming, much within the theme of the own plot of the actual story of Link's Awakening, I almost didn't want Link to win.
It's a crushingly sad game once you actually break it down.
Oh shit, Marin has dreams. Like, she's not a real person, but she feels like a real person. So you come up with that dilemma of, like, does she deserve to exist as much as the people outside this world? But he doesn't really have a choice regardless. It's really melancholy. The final boss is kicking my ass in the same way like most classic Zelda bosses kick my ass, where it's like, I'm throwing everything at you. Why are you not dying? I've tried the boomerang like 8 times.
Maybe don't use the boomerang.
I tried the other shit, and you know what? The powder doesn't do anything either.
Did you get the gun? What?
So I've really been enjoying it. I want to do a no death run at some point.
Godspeed.
How long is this game?
I played it for about, like...
15 hours?
Yeah, I played it for, like, 2 hours for, like, a week. So that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I'm also, like, kind of bad at video games, and I also got really caught up on finding all the seashells. There are some new mechanics, like you get buffs and, like, different items for the seashells that you find throughout the island. I think that's new. You get the best sword that way. And there's also a make-your-own dungeon, like, Zelda-level creator within this game as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, yes. I heard about that. The dungeon, yeah, you can make your own little dungeons, which apparently that was the original plan for Zelda, like, way, way back in the day.
please just release a Zelda Maker.
It's kind of annoying.
I mean, they did that with Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying how you get the pieces because the mechanic is you find these slabs that you give to this NPC named Dampa, and he's like, okay, you now have new pieces that you can put into your custom dungeon. But, like, you have to do all kinds of different side quests in order to get them, and most of them, I think, are gotten through amiibos, which is like, shakes fist. But it is fun for what it is, and it does give you a nice little thing to kind of play with.
Okay. And I have to ask this one question just because it's the one thing that's kind of kept me at odds with getting this game, other than just like having a bunch of other stuff I have to get done and other backlog things. Does it feel like this is worth being a full-priced game?
I mean, in as much as I think anything else these days, you know?
Yeah, like I know that's always like a very like weird artistic versus capitalist question, but I just look at it and I'm like, it's a remake of a GB game, and like I don't know, for some reason that feels conflicting for it being where I am like nearly $80.
I personally think so, if only because I got a lot of gameplay hours out of it. The bosses are really well designed. It still feels fun. Also, there's like enough slight mechanical shifts, I feel, at least from what I know, that it does feel that there's a bit more polish to, you know, how it plays mechanically. You can walk diagonally. You can fight diagonally, too. Could you do that in the original?
I do not know.
I don't think so.
I was a baby.
But I could be wrong.
But it's, as someone coming from it coming to it for the first time, I think it's worth it because it feels like a whole game, and I didn't feel like it was a waste of my time. I had fun with it. It was like a real game that functioned and had real mechanics and clearly had a lot of effort put into it artistically, through all of the design, and the music is fantastic. It's like a child's dream, which is exactly what it is.
If we can let Ubisoft games be $60, then we can allow this.
Fair. I only, being contrary, I was going to respond with this after Jade was finished. The only reason I ask is because I know since it's a Nintendo game, it's never going to drop in price.
It's never going to drop in price.
And that's the only reason I ask. If it was any other game, it's like, I'll wait for a sale, but like at most it's going to drop like $10-15 in the next year.
I base my Christmas list around the knowledge that Nintendo games will never drop in price. Jesus Christ, dude.
But that's basically all I have to say on the game, other than the color dungeon is worth it. Do the color dungeon even though it's optional. And
it's adorable.
It's so fucking cute. Also, it has the best fishing minigame. Don't at me.
Not Stardew?
Stardew is like top 3.
I don't know. I feel like the unsung hero of the fishing minigame genre is probably Dark Cloud 2. It's really involved, but not, like, obnoxiously so.
I mean, Nier's right there.
I'll allow it.
Shut the hell up. Never mind. Video games are bad again.
What have you been playing?
That's a really complicated question for me right now. A lot, but also kind of nothing, but also a lot. Jesus,
what an answer!
A lot. Well, it sounds a lot of one game from what I see.
No, believe it or not, I've actually kind of put FF14 on the back burner a bit recently. What was it? Oh, whoops. What was it? Freaking, let's see. I played through Halo Reach when that dropped.
I did as well. If you want to talk about that, I have
it
thoughts.
Is very good.
Yeah, controversial hot takes. Halo Reach is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I do feel like it got kind of overhyped for me a bit. Just because for years, like, I heard people say, no, this is the best one. This is the one that, like, really got to me. It's the one that really, like, made me emotional and all of that. And it's like...
Not really. The like campaign is not that much from, like... I remember I was replaying it myself. Sorry to cut you off, but, like... replaying the campaign, I was like, there's not a lot here.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's very good, in fact. The banter is on point. The characters are old, like, maybe not necessarily likable, but understandable and relatable. You know, they feel like people. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, it gets that very right. And, of course, that final mission is, like, kind of a masterclass in a lot of ways. But, like, what was it? But at the same time, like, even compared to something like Halo 2, like, I just don't find as much, like, meat on the bone, so to speak. Like, it's just not...
You know the thing is for me, that now that I'm kind of like mulling it over in my head, is that Halo Reach almost feels like it could just be like any war movie.
Yeah. And in a way,
And
that's
it's like,
really cool. Just
you don't feel like the Covenant is a thing.
Yeah, just like Band of Brothers set in like Halo, that's cool. I love that. And I'm happy that exists. But at the same time, like, you know, it does ultimately feel more like a spectacle rather than a proper tragedy.
Yeah, and it's like, because you just don't have like a lot of the stuff with the Covenant type characters and like what their whole thing is, like, because I was thinking of it and I was like, yeah, you don't have like, you wouldn't have to have a character like the Arbiter, but it's just like without any like actual interaction with the Covenant in any way, it does just feel like you were saying, a Band of Brothers. Like, I don't feel like there's anything substantially like differentiating it outside of like the setting.
I don't think it even necessarily needed the Covenant or anything. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel like keeping them as this unknowable alien force, no pun intended, like, that would work. That works just fine, you know? It may not be as interesting as, like, what Halo 2 did, but that could work just fine. The big issue, though, is it really didn't feel like there was much, like, how do I put this? It didn't feel like that it had that human touch that was needed. Like, that little moment where we see, like, how this affects, like, one of the random farmers or whatever. How this fans out beyond just this squad of Spartans, you know? Like, how...
When it also
how
feels like
this
it's just
deal...
like, go, go, go.
Yeah. And, like, it definitely has its moments and all of that, but, like, all of it is so, like, you know, like, you see, like, a transport get shot down, and you kind of know, well, that was probably about 200 people. That's cool, I guess. Like, and that is sad, and it would be very sad if it were real, but at the same time, like, it's not very evocative, I guess I'm going to say. You know? It doesn't really...
Even some of the noble deaths feel just kind of just happen.
Yeah, like... Well, like, most of them, I think, are pretty good and generally well-earned, or if they're not well-earned, that almost makes it better. I can think of one specific one that everyone probably would point to, but, like, I also think of, like, the last noble death, where it was just, like, a random elite with an energy sword showed up, and it's just like, dude, under any other context, you would have owned that guy. Like, I've seen you do that, like, 50 times over the course of all of this. I don't know why it was suddenly a problem. You still have the shotgun.
Just, we got to get rid of him. We're wrapping up the story here. Got to get going.
Got to get out of here. But, yeah. Like, overall, it's really great. And I'm glad I finally got to experience it, you know. Because I tried playing it, I tried playing it a few years back on Xbox. And it was the exact moment I permanently realized that, like, proper FPSs on console are kind of dead for me. Like, I can't do gamepad for FPS. I can't. It feels so sluggish and slow and unresponsive. And Halo Reach was the exact moment, because I could tell that the game was good. I could tell it was very well assembled and, like, you know, good enemy design, good weapon design, all of that. So I knew the issue wasn't, like, the game. The issue was just I really hated playing on gamepad. So being able to play on mouse and key makes me very happy.
I can kind of understand that. I've always been a gamepad. Actually, really, really quick, like, a little anecdote. It was so bizarre for me connecting my PS4 gamepad to play it on Steam, because all the prompts were for the Xbox controller. So it would just be like, oh, press X or press Y, and I was like, I guess that's triangle.
Phil Spencer is just, like, fuming somewhere.
How fucking dare you? Yeah.
God damn it.
But yeah, what else have you been playing?
Let's see. I'm still working my way. I think I mentioned that at some point, that I've been working my way through all of the Final Fantasies. I know I mentioned that on Patreon. But yeah, I've been working through all of those for a thing, so I don't want to talk about that too much. But that's been a major undertaking. But let's see, what else was there?
I've heard you've really been enjoying Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh my fucking god, dude. I can't pop off here. I want to. I feel the urge.
I'm going to stop you right there.
But everything I said is going to just be a video.
I'm going to stop you right there and just say we can cut this off by saying that the game makes us feel the same way that Sweet Dreams, but it's to the Kahoot music, and Joker is there with his gun timed to the beat, and Miku is also there.
Oh yeah.
That's how it makes us feel.
I'll drop that in. But yeah, no, it's that's a fucking video game. Anyways, Devil May Cry 5 is still great. I've been replaying that.
I thought that game was dead.
Oh yeah, no, no one plays it. It's terrible.
Oh, okay. Do you have any hot takes?
It's good. That feels like a hot take, right?
Everything is a hot take these days. It's
unambiguously good. Like,
yeah. For real though, have you been playing the original, or have you actually dipped your toe into like the modded territory?
I tried to get the mods running, and then I hit like the slightest roadblock and gave up. I need to actually try again. But I've just been playing the vanilla version. But honestly, like, because like I haven't played it more or less since release, and I've replayed it a couple times now, just kind of going through on the PC version and like getting everything and all of that, because I don't want to cheat, because I'm a big adult gamer boy. I can unlock things on my own. Thank you very much, Capcom, or random save files on Nexus. But what was it? Freaking, yeah, like, I'm clicking with it a lot better than I used to. I don't even know fully what it is, but, like, I feel like in my time away...
Maybe it's because you have some distance from the game's, like, first drop.
Like, that's definitely part of it, but, like, I'm even talking, like, more in the weeds of that. Like, I've been playing Dante way more than I used to. And a big part of that is, like, I feel like I'm finally getting some kind of handle on, like, his kit and, like, getting weapon switching down to memory and all of that and having less clumsy mistakes. Not that they don't still happen, because it's very easy to be clumsy with Dante, you know? Just keep, like, overshooting which weapon it is you're actually trying to switch to, that kind of shit. But, like, I don't know, it's just been, like... clicking with me a lot better recently, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. Not to say the game doesn't have, like, its issues or anything, but yeah, it still rules.
So you're saying the best action game of the year was really good?
Yeah. Fuck, who would have thought?
Man, Itsuno,
this really changes shit. Should we, like, meditate on this?
Just claps for Itsuno. What's the opposite of F?
E.
E. E.
No, J. Look at your keyboard.
What? I guess.
Yeah. It's where your right hand lands.
I guess that checks. Wait, let me remember what my typing class.
Oh my god.
Did you not?
I did not realize this dumb joke.
This went so off the rails.
Okay, I feel attacked right now.
You took it way too seriously.
Did nobody else have to take typing classes in elementary school?
Oh my fucking god, I'm going
to when I was in grade
Is that not a normal child thing? Am I finding out that I was like a weird social experiment?
No, I did. Everyone did.
Yeah, like when we leave after the end of class, we had to like basically like kind of like an imaginary keyboard, like quote out which fingers went on which letters.
Yeah, it's a thing. Fucking Mario teaches typing. That game slaps.
I can't tell if you're joking with me.
It's a good game. What do you want from me? It was the only way to play Mario on PC for like a decade.
So do you have any more games? Do you want to talk about Mario Teaches Typing? Is that what you've been playing?
No, I wish. My life would be so much better if that's what I was playing. I guess I'll finish off with, I have also been playing the Crash Team Racing remake, Nitro Fueled.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like, I'm still, like, amazed that this game, like, I'm picking it up right now. I'm still amazed that this game, like, even exists. Like, cause like, I feel like Crash CTR, like, wasn't, like, the biggest thing in the world. It really genuinely felt like a really niche spin-off, even if it was actually developed by Naughty Dog. But I've also long been of the opinion that it's basically the best kart racer that was ever made. So, seeing it get this level of remake and this level of polish and this much, like, added content is amazing, both because it means it's, like, this super complete package, and because it does a lot to highlight that the kart racing genre is just kind of bad.
You want to say that again, motherfucker?
I don't have a lot of thoughts about kart racers, so I can't really disagree.
Fucking...
Like, don't get me wrong.
Turn on your location, Fox!
Like, don't get me wrong. I do love kart racers. They're fun, and I'm happy I bought this, and I'm going to keep playing it. But, God, is any amount of joy you can get from anything worth the amount of pain you get in those moments where, like, you're about to win, and then literally everything hits you at once?
Tech out of it, man.
There's no tech. What do you want from me?
Sounds like someone hasn't been hitting the lab enough.
Sounds like you need to get into the fucking racing meta.
I'm going to fucking jump off a bridge.
You can avoid blue shells in Mario Kart. Well, some of them. A lot of them.
So some of them.
If you can make the same arguments to defend Melee, I can make the same arguments to defend Mario Kart.
How is this similar to any Melee argument?
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like Melee because, like, it's hard, and in order to, like, not have it be hard, you had to do these texts that I would have to research. And it's just like, fuck off then, dude!
Well, again, it's not,
Is Ryan gonna get put in scrub quotes?
My question is are some of them unavoidable? So, there we go. It's RNG.
I'm 99% sure that there are ways you can tech out of most of the bullshit items in Crash Team Racing. I would have to do research, but, like, the racing community is very fucking resourceful.
Like, well, realistically, what it actually is, like, in actual proper competitive matches, they just turn certain items off, like missiles and stuff. In the same way, like, what was it? I cannot imagine playing, like, competitive Mario Kart with complete random items on, like, everything on. Like, that would just turn into a game of, like, intentionally falling behind early on so you can get a blue shell and then just holding on to it for the entire race.
Sounds like someone that doesn't play games for fun.
You're so wrong on so many levels, and I'm gonna fucking find you.
What's fun?
For fun.
Is that a kind of challenge mode?
It's that mode in Smash.
Oh my god.
For fun?
Which one? Oh! Yeah, I never played that.
I mean, Smash is bad, so...
It seemed bad. I mean, yeah, but, like, name
well,
one
funny
good
story
video
is
game.
because that's the next segment where we talk about Game of the Year.
Hamtaro Ham Heartbreak, you stupid bitch!
What a natural and organic lead-in!
No, we're talking about Hamtaro Ham Heartbreak and how it's better than every game that came out this year.
You keep going back to that well.
As long as there's a drip on
it's a good
drip
well.
in that well, Jade's gonna keep coming back to it.
I mean, what the hell else came out this year? Fucking Octopath?
No.
Life is Strange
that was last
2?
year.
Oh god, did Octopath
Games that
actually
nobody
come out this
asked
year?
for.
We talked about it
Was
last year.
Octopath last year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jump Force came out this year, though.
Yeah,
and
why are you jumping right to that?
That's Game of the Year. What are you talking about?
No, it's not.
It feels like you're really forcing this. Why me? Why always me?
Because you deserve it, and I'm not allowed to hit Fox. He's furry protection
So Fire
rights.
Emblem Three Houses.
Is that your game of the year?
I don't know if it's my game of the year. We also didn't really think this out. Are we just gonna go just like this is mine, or are we just gonna kind of talk about like these are the games that I think were really special?
I'd say, like, because, like, I don't know about you. I've never been too big on, like, the, like, definitive, this is the best game of the year, blah, blah, blah. Like, I may have things that I point at and all of that, but, like, I also find my opinions on games tend to be pretty fluid, and what I think is the best right now may not be what I feel later. But if I have positive feelings on a thing, like, that's probably not going to change, you know?
Yeah, because I have at least 3 that I really do want to talk about because I think they're just really cool games. But yeah, to start, Fire Emblem Three Houses. Did you guys play this?
No, I still need to.
I did,
God
but
damn
only
it.
because a friend of mine had the game and I was able to steal it from him.
That's the only way to play video games.
Yeah.
Stealing.
All I really had to
Did you
say
finish?
about Fire Emblem is that I haven't finished all the routes, but fuck Edelgard. Fuck
Wow.
Dimitri.
Wow.
Golden Deer is best house.
It is absolutely not the best house. It is the worst house.
You're so wrong. You're gonna pick the tanky and the edgelord over the one who wants to take down Trump's wall? Go
Yeah.
you fucking bigot.
No, I'm going to go with the house that says fuck the church.
I mean, fair, but they're all kind of fuck the church on some level.
I'm
So at
the
least pick
one
the
that's
one
like
that's not
full on
crazy.
take down the church. I want the route that is lesbian queens taking down the church.
That's fair.
Okay. Also, you know that cutscene when you get to what's the name of the school? Can you remember it?
Fuck.
Fire Emblem
Whatever.
School.
You know the cutscene when you get to the school and it's like, oh, here's your classes. Here's like each house. When it first shows like Black Eagles, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. There's like Dorothea, she looks cool. There's Petra, and then it shifts over to Dimitri, and it's like, oh, Dimitri's cool. Ash looks cool. Okay, yeah, this is looking fine. And then it cuts to the Golden Deer, and I'm like, wow, what a bunch of losers.
You leave them the fuck alone.
I will give credit, Hilda's cool. If I could have recruited Hilda into another house, I would have.
This is fucking, like, anti-Raphael propaganda, and I won't fucking stand for it.
I will say once I actually got to them in my last playthrough, I actually did like the cast in Golden Deer. Also, I like that we've been talking for about like 5 minutes and we haven't talked about what Fire Emblem is gameplay-wise, because nobody Because anybody that talks about
that's
Three
what
Houses...
Fire Emblem is. It's all about husbands and waifus.
Well, no, because like Fire Emblem Three Houses, like it's not reinventing the wheel gameplay-wise that much. Outside of upgrading your units, you go through like an exam process, which I actually really like. Because it's about like, okay, do they meet this level of requirement for weapon proficiency? And even if they don't, you can still have them take the test. It's not a guaranteed success. And it's like, oh, that's like a neat little mechanic there. It's like, you know, if you really want to get this unit to like be a Pegasus knight, but they can only take the test like once per like, you know, once per day in that specific time frame of like taking tests.
Yeah.
And the school mechanic's also really good because I like the fact that you can actually like cater any character to be whatever you want. Like it's not like, oh, this is your mage. They can only do mage work and that's it. I saw someone on Twitter, I can't remember what their name is, but they had a gameplay where, do you know who Marianne is, Jade? Do you remember who Marianne is? The one with the blue, the girl with the blue hair.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. She's a...
Yeah.
I literally have a picture right up in front of me and I just completely forgot.
Yeah, it's really diminutive. Usually she kind of specs into like a white mage kind of category.
Yeah.
I saw someone on Twitter that did a really good run where they had her as a not specifically a brawler because girls can't spec into like brawler fighter classes, but they put all their stats into like the grappling weapon.
Huh.
And she just like destroyed every enemy because they just put so much effort into that. But the fact that like Fire Emblem Three Houses like lets you do that, like it lets you cater characters into different builds than like their original, you know, mold. I think that's actually really cool. That's a really cool system that they've implemented.
Yeah, system-wise, like, I'm not really a Fire Emblem person, per se. So I just never really was caught up into the mechanics all that well. I'm not really familiar with how Fire Emblem usually plays. But, like, I thought it was serviceable. It's basically, just battle chess.
Pretty much.
Waifu battle chess.
Yeah, it's like what if you could what if you wanted to fuck your chess pieces?
That's what's up.
And I
Have
thought
you
it
seen
was
the Queen?
pretty good.
Queen thick. Are you going to do it again?
I'm too exhausted at this point.
That means I'm winning.
But yeah, I get what you mean, Jade. Like, in terms of, like, the fundamental ideas, it hasn't really changed. It did bring back the mechanic that, what was the last game? Fire Emblem Fates, I think?
Yeah, it's... I'm impressed that you remember, because no one else
the rewind
remembers.
mechanic. Because then it's like, oh, you made, like, a tiny fuck up, or it's like, oh, I forgot to move that unit in this way. Then you can just go, oh, quick rewind. Because then, like, the most minor mistake doesn't fuck you, and then you waste, like,
Then you don't have to,
40
like, fucking
minutes.
reset.
Control Z.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty much just that. And it's like, honestly, like, if you want to be hardcore about it, you don't have to use it. Like, if you just want to be, I want to be cool badass that doesn't need that shit, then you can just not use it. But if you just want the inconvenience of being like, oh, that turn didn't work out well, you just rewind it.
It's a nice option.
Yeah. And the fact that it gives you, like, a limited amount means it's still a resource you have to manage. You can't just be, like, really willy-nilly about it, because then you'll get to the end of a map, and then it's like, oh, that didn't work out, and then you go, and it's like, oh, I have no rewinds left, so I just have to commit to this.
More long-term costs over the course of a battle.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I think Fire Emblem Three Houses was actually probably one of the most standout games of this year.
Yeah, I'm really happy, because, like, I want to give it a shot, because I've heard a lot of good things from a lot of people I trust, and, like, I've just been on edge with Fire Emblem as a franchise at large, just since it kind of took off, because, like, their fates just felt like such a fucking nightmare, like...
Yeah. I think this is the shot in the arm
the
the series... This was the shot in the arm I think the series needed, in my opinion. But I'm not the diehard Fire Emblem fan other people's are. I just play them as I like them.
Yeah, like I'm definitely interested, and definitely seems like it fixed a lot of the issues I had. The fact that, like, there actually is, like, a major focus again on, like, the actual story rather than just, like, marketable characters, I think is really cool.
Yeah. So, Jade, what's one of your games that you really want to talk about, or your game that you really liked?
Oh, Lord. Because there were a lot of good games that came out of the year. There wasn't anything that, like, changed my whole life forever. There was also a lot of, like, mediocre stuff. Again, Jump Force came out, and Life is Strange 2, which, like, if you like that, cool. I hope it makes you happy. Just wasn't my cup of tea.
Jump Force should be at EVO. Jump Force EVO 2020.
Anyways, let's talk about Outer Worlds. Anything
Yes.
but Jump Force, really.
We've all played Outer Worlds, correct?
I believe so. Like, I have.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, that game is exceptional.
Like, I think... Like, I know the joke is that it's basically just a regurgitation of New Vegas because it was made by the same team, and it does, like, have the same energy, but, like, fuck. It's a good thing. I'm not gonna, like, fucking shit on that. That's like being like, oh, look at you, you got, like, God 2. Like,
Yeah, no, it really, like, from beginning to end, like, the world is compelling and interesting. It can be a little obvious, but, like, you know, so is fucking RoboCop. I wouldn't count that as a mark against RoboCop, though. Like, but what it does well is it has really solid characters, really solid dialogue that is deeply charming, even for the people you kind of hate. Like, it's really easy to hate someone like Vicar Max, the second companion you get.
I really liked him. I liked him from the get-go. I don't know what it was about him.
Like, I mean, I was like this close to feeding him to the wolves when I first met him, but like,
I think it's just I really liked his the way the voice actor delivered his lines.
Oh yeah, no,
I was still like, I don't know about this guy. This guy seems untrustworthy. But as soon as it was like, oh, I can recruit him. Okay, cool.
yeah, I found him too interesting to not recruit, but at the same time, I don't blame anyone who like left him for dead on that planet, because like he is by his own admission basically someone who is scamming the faithful.
What I personally like about it is that it avoids a problem a lot of games like it have, where, you know, when you play Mass Effect, like, why are you bringing anyone on your team who isn't, like, Garrus or Tali? Like, who gives a fuck about Miranda? Who gives a fuck? But
Source people with Source Filmmaker.
Yeah, I was gonna
fair.
say.
But when you're playing Outer Worlds, you have such a rich cast of characters, and even if you don't like a character, oftentimes the place that you're in or the circumstances that you're in, you start thinking about your cast members and being like, wait, shit, this pair would be really interesting to see them, like, talk about the situation I'm in. Or, like, they would have really interesting takes that might be valuable for me as I'm playing through this particular area doing this thing. Or, like, oh, shit, I really like this character, but, like, this one, like, I haven't seen much of, and they're really interesting, and I want to see how they bounce off of, like, so-and-so. It's such a good cast that it basically forces you to constantly be swapping out your team.
Yeah, there's like plenty of situations where you can walk in and be like, this is really messy. We need someone to clean this up. I better go get Sam.
Sam is so fucking good. So good.
Sam is the unsung MVP of that game.
Is Sam how you view me whenever I start, like, vehemently cleaning the room?
Yes.
That's fair.
I haven't gotten the last two, but I really like pairing up Pravati and who's the what's her name? Ellie, yeah, I like pairing up those two. I think those two make like an interesting dynamic.
You need to get far enough to where you get Nyoka, because I think she's my favorite. She is so fucking fantastic. Like, Pravati's great. Actually, I take that back. Pravati's my favorite, but like Nyoka also fucking rules.
I mean, all of them are really good. And the one thing I was gonna segue into that with what Jade was saying, and I'm sure you'd both agree, is that it's also really good that all of them have really interesting individual quest lines.
Oh yeah. I like coming back to Vicar Max. Fucking, you get to do peyote with a priest. This game fucking rules. You get to do peyote with a priest on the moon. That's a thing that happens, and then he discovers a new god as a result of it. That's canon.
And then on the flip side, the one that I really enjoyed, that I was like, man, this is actually really like just a really nice one. That's really sweet, not like. Because on the one side with the Vicar Max ones, you have like just this really fucking bizarre like fever dream kind of quest, and then with Pravati, you have this just really sweet quest line of her trying to get a date with the captain of what's that ship? What's the ship?
Yeah, I'm blanking.
Isn't her name Jun Lee?
Yeah, Captain Jun Lee. I can't remember the ship they're on, but the big ship that you go on and get quests from. And you get like a lot of these like nice little dialogue moments of she's like, oh, I don't know what to say to her, and it's just a really nice moment. And Pravati's got her own damages because I don't think they ever use the word asexual, but it's implied that she's asexual.
Oh yeah, no, she is definitely like it's basically confirmed by the lead writer, I think, that she was very explicitly and deliberately written as asexual, but still queer romantic.
Yeah, like they never like outright. Like it's very heavily implied. Like anybody who says otherwise is clearly not paying attention. But it is like it's never like she's like, oh, I'm ace. It's just more like I don't feel like I want to get physical with people. I just like spending time with them and talking to them and like building a connection. And the one moment I really liked, because I know there's people that don't get that kind of representation, is you get a dialogue option that says me too. And it's like, that's
Yeah.
really nice. I like that. I appreciate that there was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
no,
line to
I
be-
saw that because I'm not ace myself or anything, but I have more than a couple friends who are, and like I
Yeah.
saw that, and I was just immediately like screenshot, forwarded, and each and every one of them was like, "What?"
Yeah, and like not to get all into this kind of thing, but it's like this is it's an old hack thing to say, but it's like this is why representation does matter because some things are just not represented, and then when they do get that representation that feels very genuine, it's like, oh my god, that's fucking great.
Like, look at all these fucking people that little moment, that little effort, it made tons of people happy.
like there were articles all over the place for like weeks about it.
Yeah, because it's just not something that's ever represented. Usually in games, it's like very rarely do you even get like queer representation, let alone like anything beyond that. So when a game does do it, it's like, holy shit, like this is actually like trying to do that.
Because like the only other media I can think of that like has an asexual character where that like actually like seriously addresses that and what it is and what that means is probably BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, with Todd, right?
Yeah. Like, can you think of anything else? It feels like I'm missing something, but I can't be missing
you can
much.
confirm this. You can confirm this for me, Fox. Is it canon that Luffy's ace? One Piece.
No, not in terms of ever explicitly said. It's just he doesn't have interest in girls, but I think it's because he's very much coded as being like a kid.
Treasure sexual.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just more the general, like, I just don't care about that more than it is, like, I don't understand that, you know?
Still counted as a W.
Yeah. If ace people want to adopt him, I'm not going to fight them on it, but in terms of the actual coding, I would personally never read it like that.
Then again, can you imagine Luffy, like, ever even being in the same room as a woman alone?
I mean, he is multiple times.
You know what I mean. How would Luffy respond to seeing a titty?
A blank stare face. That's that's in the series.
There we go.
I don't know. Whenever I imagine Luffy in like a bedroom situation, I imagine someone being like, "Hey, can you use like your gum powers to do some fun stuff?" And he just like makes balloon animals with his arms.
That actually sounds
Third gear
in character.
Well, I was gonna say it sounds like you guys didn't get to the Amazon Lily arc.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Because those things almost explicitly
I only got
happen.
like 400 episodes in.
There is a
Boo-Boo
character
the
that's
Fool.
like here's some titties, and he's just like, cool. Like, what? Why?
So yeah, I'm definitely counting that as a W.
Fair. But yeah, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds rules. Definitely play it. You can get it for $1 on Xbox Game Pass.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention about Outer Worlds that I think is at least a great for me. I don't know if it was for you guys because I'm still about halfway through, but I was noticing it myself, and then I heard other people like confirm. Yeah, that is kind of how it feels. Is the first planet is so strong. It definitely feels like they put a lot of fucking effort into that world. And then it just kind of keeps going, and each following world you go to, it kind of feels like it's like descending order almost.
Like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I could see how and why someone would land on that. But, like...
Just because, like, the first world feels, like, very well planned, and I think it's because you have just, like, such a strong focus before you're kind of just, like, given a bunch of missions and a bunch of shit to do. It's, like, the first world, it's like, okay, you have a main objective, get a battery for this ship that you now own, apparently, because you accidentally... Not you specifically, but the person that was supposed to pick you up is dead, and you're gonna take their ship, and it's very well planned out little level. You go to the ship, and there's these people from Spacer's Choice being like, "Hey, what's this ship doing here?" And you can deal with that however you want. You can kill them, you can lie to them, you can tell them that you're their boss.
You can
if
tell
I
them
correctly.
just straight up that you're Captain Alex Hawthorne.
Yeah, or that. Yeah, so it's like you have a lot of options to take that, and then you go visit Emerald
Vale?
I'm so bad at names. Emerald Vale. You can go visit Emerald. You go visit Emerald Vale to go find a battery, and then that whole storyline plays out. And then once you finish, you have the battery. You make the big moral decision on like, okay, who gets the power, Emerald Vale or the deserter camp, and then you leave, and then the rest of the game unfolds. But that one area, that one world is just so tightly designed, in my opinion. And then the rest is just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't feel as tight, in my opinion.
Like, I can definitely see where you're coming from with that, and where anyone who made that critique is coming from, because, like, it's definitely, I feel, probably, like, the densest section in terms of, like, quality. Like, there's a lot of good there. Like, I mean, you're bumping into, like, Parvati and Vicar Max and some actual moral dilemmas and all of that. But at the same time, I think of, what was it? Because, like, you also haven't gotten to the planet where you meet Nyoka yet. And I think
and this is coming from someone who's, like, halfway through-ish. It doesn't feel like the game has hit that high point since.
Yeah, no, I'd say that, like, Monarch is a really interesting planet, and in that, like, the whole thing very quickly becomes about, like, taking these two factions who are at each other's throats, and of course you can always, like, you know, just steamroll one and give power to the other and blah blah blah, or you can do what I did, and I think is really cool, which is basically figure out some way to make them stop fighting for 5 minutes, and then kind of direct them at the real problem, which is the board, because every problem on that planet is caused by them. So, like, that section, I think, is very, like, that has a lot of, like, nuances and options you can do. You can approach it from all kinds of different angles, or just not give a shit about it entirely. But, yeah, like, I think there's definitely a fair amount of quality throughout the entire game, but at the same time, I would agree that, like, it almost suffers from starting out so strong.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at.
I would argue, because I personally didn't feel as if this game really suffered from any, I guess, quality losses as you explored, if only because the flavor text of the places you go to is so fucking good. What was that cute little advertisement bot where we saw this little robot that was charged with holding an advertisement sign, and there was a bag of chips on it, and it said, "Now with 50% more air." It was so cute, and just little touches like that through, like, employee emails, through just posters and decorations, small talk as you pass by, like, NPCs. It made every world feel fleshed out for me, at least personally.
I will say the writing is strong in that regard. That like the corporate, how saturated it is with, like, corporate language is really, really good.
The whole thing sincerely feels like Paul Verhoeven got a chance to direct a game.
But any final thoughts on that, Jade, before we move on?
Honestly, I think that's about it. I would very highly recommend it, obviously. Fantastic writing. Gameplay-wise, like, yeah, if you like New Vegas, yes, you will like this game.
Yeah, the gameplay can be a little limp at times, and a little, like, and the power-ups generally are pretty unexciting, you know, but...
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
But it still does function overall, you know, functions very well, and it can have a lot of really fun moments.
I don't feel like it overstays its welcome, either.
It's a very tight game. Like, you can get through it, like... I mean, you can get through it in under an hour if you know what you're doing, of course. But, like, in terms of, like, casual play, it's pretty easy to get through it in, like, 24 hours. So, yeah, that game rules.
Yeah. So, Codex, what's your pick? Or what's a game you want to put out there for one of the best of 2019?
You know, I'm really almost lamenting what I have to choose, because I recognize getting people to actually give it the time of day is going to be a Herculean nightmare that I'm going to inflict on myself for the next year, minimum. But, like, goddamn fucking Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers is just so good. It is so goddamn good. Like, I genuinely struggle to think of a more consistently enjoyable and engaging time I had with a game basically all year.
Hey,
like,
Wait. I just double checked. FF14 came out 2010.
Yes, it did, Fox. But that game was really bad, and everyone hated it, and rightfully so. It was so bad that it didn't have an auto attack.
Ah.
It was so bad that the planters had more polygons than the player models, which caused servers to crash. The whole thing was a tire fire. They basically burnt it to the ground and rebuilt it anew. They even switched engines at one point. And, like, I did take the whole deep dive with Final Fantasy XIV this year, and I am honestly incredibly happy I did. It's a very highly enjoyable experience once you get into, like, the rhythm of it and kind of see and accept it for what it's doing, and get through the earliest bits. Because, like, yeah. I think it's good all the way through, but, like, what was it? Because of course Shadowbringers is inherently hot glued to, the base game and Heaven's Ward and Stormblood. But, like...
Well, this is 5.0 of the game.
This is 5.0 of the game.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, like, it definitely creates a serious barrier for entry, because one of the first things I feel like a lot of people don't fully appreciate is this game has a proper, like, a sincerely proper main quest line, in the same way like any other Final Fantasy game would have a main story. And like for Realm Reborn, for the base game, it's pretty okay. Like, it works. It's solid. It's not really anything to write home about, but, it had a lot of work to do, basically rebuilding a game, like, from the ground up, and I think it did that pretty well. And then the moment you get to the expansions, everything becomes awesome. And all of that does kind of ultimately culminate with Shadowbringers. I'm trying to think of a good way to talk about this that doesn't violently spoil every aspect of it.
Okay, that's actually a good segue, because I need you to tell me about the Nier Automata raids.
Oh, those are fantastic. What was it? So... I'm trying to remember what exactly happens. Let's see. So there are some dwarves who are basically actually just Lalafell, I think, but they're
I was gonna say,
as dwarves.
Looking from the videos I've seen, they look like just like Lalafells.
But, like, I'm pretty sure literally if you take their hat off, they're just Lalafells, but in canon, they're referred to as dwarves. But what was it? They find a hidden area, and they then, like, discover 2P, not 2B, 2P.
Yeah. The color swap.
Yeah, from Soul Calibur. Oh my god, it's just occurring to me that the Soul Calibur palette swap is, like, canon in the FF14 universe now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna cosplay her. She's hot.
Oh, it's so great.
Someone was bullshitting me that 2P isn't actually brown skinned. It's just a weird lighting thing.
Oh, shut
was
the
that
fuck
bullshit?
up. That's
lighting
bullshit.
In the biggest possible quotation marks.
Horrendous bullshit. Yeah,
okay.
No, she's very not white.
Well, yeah, because every time I've seen pictures and video, they look dark skinned. So
that's literally the whole point. Is like,
yeah,
fucking dumb. But yeah, like the Nier raid is a lot of fun. It's really exciting, especially if you're a fan of Nier going into it, which I may or may not be. But even that, like, as cool as that is, like, genuinely, just the experience of, like, playing through Shadowbringers, like, first off, it has some of the most gorgeous and inspired, like, environments I've seen in any game in, like, years. Like, it genuinely does remind me that, like, don't get me wrong, graphics are not everything. I shouldn't even need to say that at this stage. I think that's pretty commonly accepted, that, like, just losing your mind over, like, polygons or whatever is, like, kind of just, like, a fruitless errand. But at the same time, like, beautiful visual art is beautiful visual art, and this game really knows how to make it land, at least as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of just stunningly striking visuals, and stuff that's, like, really creative. Like, there's an entire area that's basically just, like, a Lisa Frank like binder cover. And what was it? And there's also like the entire cast who, again, I don't want to go into it too much because it's so much spoilers. Because I am planning on like talking about it at length in the future. But like the one thing I'd kind of want to hand over right now is the way it works in conjunction with the rest of the expansions. First off, it feels less like base game expansion, and more like Final Fantasy XIV, Final Fantasy XIV-2, Final Fantasy XIV-3, and this is kind of Final Fantasy XIV-4, which is a lot, but they also segue and feed into each other in such a way that going through all of it at once genuinely feels like going on the kind of like epic journey that I haven't really like experienced in a long, long time. I'm genuinely trying to remember any game I played that made me feel the same sense of like scope and long-term impact that like this has.
So what are you playing as?
What in terms of like job?
Well, job and species.
Aura, and I played through the main campaign as a ninja because I really love Naruto and I love being bullied and you should make fun of me.
Oh, I already did.
But at this point, I'd say I'm like a dual ninja scholar main because I like having instant Qs.
Which one is that species again? Which one is that specifically?
What?
I don't remember them by name. I only would remember them by like how they're described.
What I play is an Aura. And then like you've got
which one is that?
Which one is what? Oh, the
Aura.
Like the dragon one.
Oh, okay.
The
that's
one
what
got,
I
like,
went
face
when I
scales and stuff.
started mine like 2 weeks ago and then never touched again.
Yeah, you should get on that.
Yeah, I started it. Codex bullied me into it when it was when the game was on sale, and I was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. And then I made my character. I got to the opening town, and then I like Alt 4'd out. I was like, I'll come back later. I got other stuff I got to finish. But yeah, I made one of them, and I think I set them as brawler.
Monk.
Yeah, is it monk?
Pugilist.
For your like for the opening class, like fists.
Yeah, for base it's pugilist.
Pugilist, yes, that's what it was. I was like, I think
Pugilist.
it's pugilist.
Don't call it pugilist.
Pugilist.
No.
So I basically made Natsu from Fairy Tail.
Nice.
But yeah, what was it? I guess the only thing I will say is Emmett Selch is like one of the best written villains I've seen in years. He is so fucking rich and complex, and he has so much going on, and he deserves every bad thing that happens to him, but I still love him so much. Like, just a lot of really fucking interesting questions about, like, even what the worth of, like, what even makes up, like, existential essence, that kind of shit. Like, it's just so fucking galaxy-brained, and I'm such a sucker for that stuff.
Are you done?
Yeah, I think that's about it. Because it's such a hard game to talk about. It's honestly...
It is. It's hard to talk about a large, expansive MMO that has, like, multiple... Not quite iterations, not quite sequels, but, like, just the nature of an expansion in a world where expansions aren't really a thing. It's more or less just, like, DLC levels. But usually DLC isn't, like...
Because, like, I could talk about the main quest and go through all of that, but I also cannot do that without, like, brutally, like, spoilering it for everyone. And this is a story that I genuinely, like, think you should go in as blind as possible, which, for me, is deeply beneficial, because I feel like most people haven't played it. I feel like it's something that genuinely has slipped by a lot of people and almost slipped by me. But, like, I would honestly say, taken as a whole, like, that whole experience... It's easily the best JRPG of the decade. Like, easily. It's not even fair. Like, it depends on how you want to classify, like, JRPG, I suppose. If you want to include Dark Souls in that. If you want to insist that it has to be, like, turn-based or whatever, then maybe 14 gets excluded and we're back to Persona 5. But, like, if we're just accepting it as, like, traditional to the JRPG genre in some capacity, then... Like, I can't think of a more thorough and complete and fulfilling experience I've had with, like, any entry of the genre.
That's fair. Speaking of having to dance around spoilers, though, another game I wanted to talk about that I have not seen any lists talk about it at all, and I think it's just the nature of what it is.
Fortnite.
Yes, nobody's talking about Fortnite. Really underrated game. People need to play that game. No,
J.J.
it's
Abrams mod.
AI, the Somnium Files.
Oh yeah, I need to play that. I need to play that very
Sorry,
bad.
what? Repeat that.
AI, the Somnium Files.
I have not heard anything about that
Kotaro.
game. Oh.
Yeah, it's for those of you who maybe are not aware, it's directed and written by Uchikoshi, who did the Zero Escape games, 999. Really well written. I stretch. These would be counted as visual novels, correct?
Yeah, visual novel
would count.
puzzle hybrid.
Yeah, because they mix in the puzzles and whatnot. They're just above. They're around the same sphere of visual novels as like Professor Layton or
Ace Attorney.
Ace Attorney. Yeah, because there is like puzzle solving a little bit. Or in AI's case, there's not a lot of like puzzles, but there's like searching for clues because you're playing as Dante, who's a detective. But he's not technically a detective in terms of like that's his title, but he works for an organization under the police. And his specific job is that he has through this machine, he's able to dive into people's dreams, essentially their subconscious, and that's how you kind of
Very
solve a lot of
Paprika.
cases.
Literally.
Kind of,
that's
yeah.
super
Actually,
Paprika.
it's not that far off. The one detail that's really weird, though, is that he has a fake eye that's also a AI, and their name is I, because it's
That's hilarious.
because it's an eyeball AI ball, but they call it
That's
Aiba.
really fucking hilarious.
And then it starts to talk about morphogenic fields.
Yeah. And it has two forms. It has one that Dante can see because the AI within the eyeball projects like an image of the AI self. And then the eyeball can actually pop out and they look like, and then it kind of like has its own little shell that it makes. And it looks like a little tiny hamster with one eye. That's really cute. And it's voiced by, Erica, which Erica? Erica Lindbeck, I think it is. Or no, the girl who does Anne in Persona 5. And she does a really good job as that character. Because they have a lot of the best line deliveries in it. Because every time you do a deep dive into a person's dreams, essentially, they're the one you control. Because they're actually the ones that are kind of being projected into it. So the thing about being projected into the dreams that's really interesting mechanically wise is so you're investigating a lot of these like murders and you don't know who's telling the truth, what's going on. So you do these deep dives into these very surreal dreams and you have 6 minutes. 6 minutes. And you only have so much time to extract the information out of these dreams. And the way you do it is you have to go through I don't even know how I'd call them, like kind of like I guess puzzle rooms where you go up to like a
that sounds
door.
right.
You go up to a door and it says like knock, kick, listen. And each one has a different time it takes. So you're kind of constantly thinking about like, okay, do I have the time to spend on this action if it doesn't progress me to the next step? You know
Timers
what I mean?
in games are so underrated. I feel like they don't get enough credit.
And it's really interesting. And then sometimes those actions give you like an item that you can go, okay, this action is going to take 60 seconds. It's going to take a full minute off my time. But I have this item that I have saved up that turns that into a 1 second action.
Ooh.
So you're
I
constantly
like that
having to like
mechanic.
juggle these like little systems and kind of figure out how to like manipulate this dream to push forward to the next progression. And then by the end you get like the breaking point, and then it reveals like kind of this abstract vision. But the thing is, it's not always like, oh, they kind of constantly remind you it's like, this is a dream, so it's not like you're seeing a vision of what this person saw. This is just kind of what their subconscious is kind of creating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really interesting story. I think Uchikoshi does this quite a bit, where there's a lot of branching paths, and to get like the true ending, you actually kind of have to go through all these different timelines.
Yeah, that's pretty essential to his style up to this point. That was basically the entire founding principle of Zero Escape.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because there's some like timelines that just kind of end as like, oh yeah, whatever, like that just each timeline is almost like this character's storyline. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, okay, we wrapped up that side character stuff. And there is this strange moment that I was like, okay, this game has me hooked. Is the main character has this adopted daughter essentially, and I ended up doing her kind of storyline, her ending first, and it's a really poignant storyline about them kind of connecting and like how much you matter to her, and like her kind of dealing with all this stuff that happens in the game, because a lot of this stuff kind of happens around her, I guess. I don't want to spoil the details, but you get to the end of it and you're like, man, that's so beautiful. And you get this like very sweet line that's basically just kind of like a I'm home kind of line. That's just like, yes, I've accepted you as my family. And then it's like, okay, you finish that ending, go back and make a decision at this point in time to do, the other storylines. And basically to get those other storylines, I had to go back to basically like the very start of the game and fail her. Because the way I got onto this storyline was I did a very specific thing at the very start of the game that was like, oh, I'm going to help her. I'm going to do this action that's going to be beneficial for her. So to basically get the rest of the game, and I felt so bad about it. And I was like, oh, this is really good if it's making me feel very like morally like torn about like to progress through the rest of this game. I have to not really fuck her over. I just kind of have to fail her as a father figure. And it ends up being resolved, but at the end of the day, it still felt kind of shitty having to go, yeah, I kind of got to go with the other option that kind of messes her up a little bit.
That's so on brand for him. That sounds so like exactly what he do. It reminds me of this little bit from Zero Escape, or specifically Virtue's Last Reward. Because in that game, like, running through different timelines is very essential to how the game works. Like, you are very expected to go through, like, at least, like, a dozen timelines and, like, experience, like, different character endings and all of that stuff, kind of similar to what you're already describing. But it also doesn't necessarily expect you to go down all of them, because in total, I think there's, like, technically, like, 25 endings. And most of them are basically just like, yeah, and then you died because you were a dumbass. Way to go. But, like, a lot of them are valid, a lot of them are important, a lot of them are essential to the plot. But there's also still stuff there to, I don't know if reward completionist is the right term. Because the first thing that comes to mind when you describe that is there was this one interaction where the setup was basically all of the characters are like, okay, go in here, I'm going to vote ally, you know I'm not going to betray you, so go in and vote ally. You have literally no reason to not vote ally, because that will objectively move the story forward and benefit everyone. And in canon, it's clear that that's what happens, and basically every player is going to do that. But if you go back and choose to betray at that moment, all of the characters are just like, why would you do that? What were you thinking? And the main player character is just like, I wanted to know what would happen? What do you mean you wanted to know what would happen?
Yeah, like a very meta, like, yeah, calling out the player that will pick the, like, obviously bad option just to see what results in it.
What did you think would happen? We're all going to die now. I was just curious. Curious about what?
AI actually kind of doesn't have that. It actually only has about, I think it's 5 or 6 endings, and all of them are essential. That's actually what's else is really impressive, is it's really good at keeping the mystery going, because each ending also kind of gives you like a little bit of a taster. Some endings are just like, this is the bad ending, this is like, obviously non-canon, something terrible happens, but it gives you a little bit of a nugget to make you go, oh shit. And then that makes you start thinking about like where this is going. And there's some endings where it's like it ends with like a cliffhanger, and then it's like, oh, you actually can't continue down this route until you go and finish some of the other ones. But you're still left with this like, wait, where is this going? Holy shit. And some stuff feels like almost kind of obvious, like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. But you still kind of want to see how it gets there. And that's where it gets interesting. And in the cases where you kind of know, it's still, how will it get there? Because it's also, in comparison to some of Uchikoshi's other stuff, whereas a little bit more grimdark in places, this is really... It balances the grim and the seriousness with a lot of like really fun lightheartedness, and a lot of the characters are just really sweet and fun.
Yeah,
like there's one of my favorite characters that doesn't get a lot of screen time, but like when he's on screen, I do like get like a little bit of a chuckle. Is a Yakuza boss who really likes a teen idol in the cast. And he's not like a perv, he just really likes her. Well, he's
just an unironic fan.
Yeah, he's an unironic fan, but he also kind of has to keep it from his like subordinates. So sometimes you kind of have to blackmail him with like, hey, like I can get you a meeting with fuck, I can't remember her name. But it's like, yeah, I can get you a meeting with her. He's like, what? Really? And then, but then it's like, or I'll tell your subordinates. It's like, oh fuck, okay, fine. But he has a lot of like really funny moments, and by the end, he actually is kind of like a supporting cast member. He does like actively help you out in places where he didn't have to. So it's like, oh yeah, he's your buddy now. So I really enjoyed this game. I actually was genuinely shocked how much I enjoyed it by the end.
Yeah, no, like that sounds completely like on brand and what I'd expect from Uchikoshi, because like. I genuinely feel like he's like a master of exposition. He knows exactly how, when, and where to drip feed certain information to keep like the ball and momentum rolling. Yeah,
and it never feels like the one thing that I'm impressed is like who knows what in what timeline. That's the other thing I find like really impressive.
Yeah, no, like I can only can you even imagine like writing a cohesive story like that? Like how do you sit down and pen that?
I was looking over it when I finished. I was like, how do you keep track of like who knows what, when,
how
where?
How many sticky notes?
Oh, God, I would lose my fucking mind, because then you'd have to think like, wait, no, they wouldn't have this information in this timeline because this doesn't happen in this timeline, versus like, wait, these two characters might not even interact in this one because this event didn't happen prior to make them meet.
Yeah.
So. For people who do branching storylines like that, I have a mad amount of respect for.
Like I said, I can't even imagine how you'd like storyboard that, or like
probably like a Pepe Sylvia board.
Because I'm also sure that there's like a natural intended progression of endings, even if you like may stumble into a couple early by accident. But still, goddamn, that's so impressive. Like, it's... I still feel that way looking back at, like, Virtue's Last Reward. Like, he is a fucking talent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I need to get on that game.
It's really good, and I haven't seen enough people talking about it. It feels like it kind of went a little bit under the radar, which is like, it's fair. It's a visual novel. It's always been kind of a niche thing. But even if I can get a couple people on it, it's like, that'd be cool. But
I mean, he's been like the most underrated person working in the game industry for like a decade now, I'd say.
I could see that, but
like I just say that because like none of his games have blown up. He hasn't found the level of success I think he definitely deserves. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets kind of like the Yoko Taro treatment, where like just one game that really clicks with people and blows up, and suddenly everyone knows his name.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But that's all I really have to say that with that, because anything more and I'd probably be like outright spoiling details. So
Yeah, no, that's
I'm gonna
totally
pass it
fair.
off to Jade if she's got any more games that she wants to drop
Like
here.
more notable mentions of the year.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my compiled notes at the moment.
Dork.
I like having
I'm
notes.
gonna bully you.
There's just so many good things that came out.
This was a really solid year overall.
Like I think something that is definitely at the very least worth mentioning is Game of the Year, Sekiro.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was gonna mention.
Well then I think I will let you take it away because you actually worked on it.
I mean, yeah, like kinda, I guess technically. But yeah, no, like I'm a bit biased here because like I did do some like pseudo official work on it. My name does appear somewhere in the credits. So I'm a little biased. I may be a little weighed in its favor, but that said, yeah, no, that game rules.
You are gonna have to deal with me on the other side, so don't worry about being biased.
Yeah, no, I like even setting aside like my own personal involvement in it and kind of what it's meant for me on a personal level, like even setting that aside, like Sekiro is exceptionally good and unbelievably well crafted. Like just so like maybe it's because I had to spend so much time like looking at it and all of that, but like I truly do appreciate the level of detail that went into just so much of that stuff, and just the way it like frames certain images, the way it what was it, the way it employs like windowing and all of that.
It's a beautiful looking game.
It's
It
beautiful.
is very gorgeous in certain sequences.
And also I feel like narratively it's I feel like it's kind of the best thing FromSoft has ever made. Like I feel like a lot of people I still need to make a video about it because I feel like even now people are kind of like undervaluing what the story is there to say and do and the themes running through it. Which to be fair, like there's a lot going on and a lot of it's hidden behind like very esoteric and niche triggers to get like all of the dialogue
and you're
and all
specifically
that.
talking about like in terms of the story and what your character does, and
I'm talking just in general, because like the way Sekiro is it broadly feels like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely the story of Sekiro, the lone wolf, and all of that, and like Kuro and all of that, but it's just as much the story of the land of Ashina, like just that entire province and kind of its history and what brought it to this point and what its future is going to have to look like as the old generation wanes and a new one is going to have to take power and in some way make amends for the crimes that were perpetrated by the people who came before them.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of get into is that Dark Souls is, pretty much about entropy. Bloodborne is very much about, well, it's a Lovecraft fan fiction. Sekiro, it's a lot about, I think it's the kindest Soulsborne whatever game.
It's definitely the least mean-spirited.
I was gonna say it's the least pessimistic about stuff.
Well, what I was going to finish that off with is it's the kindest game in the sense that it's about the inherited trauma that you get from your ancestors and from your history, like your country's history and whatnot, and how you overcome that. But it, at least depending on what you consider to be like the true ending, it ends on a really oddly positive note. It definitely has the most hopeful endings.
Yeah, because no matter, well, except for the sculptor ending, that one's just fucking bleak and everything sucks. But you're also pretty much not supposed to do that, I feel like. Not that any one of the endings is necessarily more canon than the other, but I also know what it is I consider to be the true ending. And running off of that, like, yeah, no, there's a lot going on with it narratively. I honestly should just get around to making that big-ass video about it. because I still feel like maybe someone out there has done like a real deep dive on it and it just kind of slipped me by, but I still feel like no one's like really gotten into that game the way it sort of deserves.
I mean, have you, like, I'm actually asking this as very sincerely, not sarcastically, have you checked if Funny Video has done it?
Like, he's done it. Like, of course he's done it, but, like, you know, it's also, like, you know how his style of video is. It's typically very focused in on one specific story, one specific aspect, rather than, like, the super broad thing, and more focused on, like, the lore itself, rather than, like, extrapolating.
He's usually telling a story over, like, critical analyzing. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he's more of a bard than he is, like an essayist, per se. Yeah. Not to devalue what he does, I think he's very talented.
He's great for that.
Yeah, but it is different fields, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe there's a great, like, video out there that slipped me by, but, like, failing that, it's probably going to have to be me.
Oh no, how terrible.
Oh no. If terrible for me, it's going to be another fucking hour-long video.
Yeah, you know what that's going to look like? That's going to look like you in, like, a silk kimono, fermenting in this chair, and it's pitch black. I come in through the door like, my love, are you still okay? With, like, a plate of peeled persimmons, feeding you gingerly.
Cherry blossoms
as he's crafting a wooden prosthetic.
I haven't been able to feel Buddha. I haven't been able to feel in 3 years.
Give me sake.
So Ryan, you're talking to someone whose favorite game is Bloodborne.
Yes.
And I really wanted to like Sekiro. I really desperately wanted to like it. You know that. I wasn't going into this game like pessimistic, like this better be, the best Dark Souls game. But I was like, I want this to be good. I like the Souls games, and like the Japanese setting's really, my kind of thing. But man, did that game just not click with me, if I'm being just straight honest. Like, especially just we've had this conversation just not on recording. Yeah. I didn't realize how much options matter to me in Souls games, but I just did not enjoy being told, this is how you're going to play the game, this is how you have to deal with these bosses, deal with it. Like, that's what the game kind of felt like it was telling me, and in certain contexts, yeah, but in terms of what I like about this developer and what these kind of games tend to be, it just kind of killed a lot of my drive.
Like, I don't know, I found that the prosthetic tools tended to add, like, that level of variety.
I don't know, because they weren't that much different from the what are they called in the tools in Bloodborne. It felt not that different from that, and it had the same thing of, like, you only have so many uses, but at the end of the day, your weapon is your main source of attack.
And overall, I would because I do think Bloodborne is probably the better game overall. Like, it definitely has, like, more meat on it. There's, like, more content, broadly speaking. I hate to frame it that way, but it's just a much vastly bigger game, especially by the time DLC was done with it.
Yeah, 100%.
But at the same time, like, I appreciate and I enjoy being handed a very specific challenge and being told, you're this character, this is what you're doing, best of luck. If you don't get through it, it's not my fucking problem.
Yeah, and I do respect it. I do respect it in that regard. I guess it just kind of frustrated me sometimes because there was times where it felt like it was going to give me a weapon.
Yeah, no, like, the biggest thing is just accept that your sword is going to be pretty much your primary tool.
Yeah.
And, like, if you don't like that, then, like, yeah, that's probably kind of, like, the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
But, like,
I also feel I feel I also need to revisit now that I finished Jedi Fallen Order, because Jedi Fallen Order was kind of essentially the same thing. The only differentiating factor is that you have, like, force powers that are attached to kind of a stamina meter, but that's essentially the only real difference to them in terms of, like, the raw gameplay.
What was it?
No porgs, 0 out of 10 game.
I mean, there's a cute droid.
Okay, that works. Although at this point I'm done with all things Star Wars.
But isn't that the standard? That's the standard for Star Wars now. So, like,
it had a thing that was kind of cute. 10 out of 10.
When are they gonna confirm that Baby Yoda is actually Darth Vader?
When are they going to confirm that Baby Yoda got stepped on and died before the prequels even started?
Mandalorian is after after the original trilogy.
Before the sequels happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, of course, everything comes down to taste at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's why I phrased it as it just didn't click with me by the end. Where did I leave off on? I forget where I left off on. I think I was like near the end.
What was it? But for my part, like, the way I kind of see it is like, even if the combat is a bit more pared down, the fact that it's more focused allows for, first off, it allows for a much broader and kind of, I feel, interesting palette of, like, enemies. Not to say Bloodborne had bad enemies by any means, but, like, they were also kind of generally all handled one of two ways. It was either just, like, you just kind of mow them down and then duck and weave, that kind of thing, bait the attack and then respond, the classic Dark Souls strategy, or you abuse fire. And, like, what was it? Whereas in Sekiro, I really personally felt like each enemy kind of demanded you take them differently. You know, at least to some extent. There's, of course, those enemies you can completely steamroll. The basic Ashina soldiers are pretty easy to devour. But, like, I think of, like, the Grey Shinobi and all of that, and the way their, like, spinning wheel thing works.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, stuff like the Chained Ogres, or even, like, the, I'm blanking on their names, but the giants with the bells. Taro Troopers.
There is
like,
there is that one really good mini boss, the knight in the armor.
Oh yeah,
That's a really
Robert.
cool boss. I won't spoil how you beat him so people can figure it out. 'Cause
It's
that's part of
really
the fun.
great.
But the fact that you have to like really figure out what it's doing and how it plays into the like level is actually a really cool detail that I can't think of many. There's probably is instances of that being in other Souls games, but I was like, once I figured it out, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's sincerely really clever. I really love that fight, and not to mention, like, just a fucking good fight in general. But yeah, like, I found that while there were certain things that it was diminished in comparison to, like, Bloodborne, I personally found that there were a lot of things that made up for that, you know?
Yeah, and sounding down on it, I do still think this is like a really cool game, and there is like a lot to like about it. It's just for me, certain things just didn't work out. But I also look at it, I'm like, that's still a great game. Like, I'm not gonna say it's bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Like, I think its biggest flaw is the fact that it's coming off the back of maybe the best game of the entire generation. Like, Bloodborne even now is still like. Because like, I completely agree with that, with the Bloodborne love. Like, that genuinely may be my favorite game ever, depending on what day you talk to me. Like... Yeah,
same. That usually when people ask me what's your favorite game, that's usually the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, for me it's like Nier Automata, Bloodborne, and Metroid Prime. Like, just those three in perpetual rotation.
Yeah.
Just swapping out with each other.
Jade, what's your hot Sekiro takes?
My hot Sekiro takes?
Yeah.
Let's see. The best characters are all of the kids. I will die for Kuro gladly, without question.
Kuro is so good. I love him so much.
My son. Let's see. I really like how many of the enemies were just kind of like love letters to old like tales of yokai and stuff like that. It's such a nice Japanese fairy tale.
Yeah, it pulls a lot in some really interesting ways from Japanese mythology.
It's fucking lit.
Yeah, no, good game. Very good game. Exceptionally good game. I still feel very lucky to have had a chance to, like, work on it in any capacity or do anything for it in any way.
Yeah, just for those who don't know, Ryan got to work on the strategy guide.
the official strategy guide published by Future Press. You should check it out. I'll probably drop a link in the description. Show.
Yeah. So what's next? What's the... Because I think we're leading up to like the actual, I think, definitive game of the year, I think, for the collective. But is there any other games we want to talk about before we get to that one?
I feel like we have to at least mention Resident Evil 2. I haven't gotten around to playing it yet because there's been a lot of things to play. But like,
It's really good.
Of
I feel that the fact that RE2 did not get any awards at the Game of the Years, not that it's like that's the definitive marker for a game's quality, but it just sucks knowing it didn't win anything.
Yeah, but at the same time, given what it was up against, it had a hard fight, especially being basically a remake.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's just sound design. That game had really good sound design. I think it should have won at least for that. But it's understandable. Call of Duty.
Oh, fucking! I hate video games. We're back to me hating video games.
No, I also don't think Call of Duty has bad sound design. It's I talked to an audio engineer and they made a strong argument, but I still look at RE2 and it's like that game is really good at like different footstep sounds, just the general like ambience of the Raccoon City Police Department, how each zombie sounds distinct. It's just a really good game when it comes to like implementing its sound.
Yeah, like I'm 100% sure Call of Duty earned it because, like, with that budget, you better but it's still a bummer.
Is it also telling that like all of us, I think, are fans of the series, but none of us have brought up Kingdom Hearts 3?
I still haven't played it. I've deliberately held off because I was waiting for all of the DLC and all of that to land. Because
fair. Jade, have you touched it?
Nope, not at all. I haven't. It's one of those things.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I realized as I was about to say. So I'm the only Kingdom Hearts fan.
Apparently.
I mean, like, it makes me sad because, like, I wish that I had a chance to touch it. But also, it's money that I do not have.
Yeah, that's there's fair. A lot of games.
And honestly,
and, like, I want to. It's on my list.
You guys have probably already read like a lot of the hot takes out there. Kingdom Hearts 3 is good, not as good as 2. That's kind of a tough mountain to climb, and it also has the problem.
2 was good by accident at this point.
3,
as most games are.
Yeah,
or as most good
valid,
games are.
Totally fair, but still a bitter pill.
But I think like 3 also has the problem of it's trying to like be a culmination of like 3 different storylines.
3 kind of like shit the bed at the end was its problem.
Kinda yes, kinda no, because I think the best parts of 3 are in its ending, or in its like the last third of the game is where its strong suit actually lies.
Yeah, I mean it does a lot of great things. Like I feel like it did kind of the best that it could with Aqua, and getting her that kind of closure and her moment.
Yeah.
And wrapping up her storyline, but it wanted to move on to its plot line with the new villains so quickly that's like, okay, everybody, you get all your happy endings. You get a happy ending. You get a happy ending. Everybody is live. Everyone. And it's just gonna happen all at once.
Oh yeah, that last world, like I like it, but it literally is like each like fight of that last world, or every like section of it is like, okay, now you're with the Birth by Sleep team. Now they're gonna get their storyline concluded, and then you get to the area where like Axel and Kyrie are, and then it like literally like happens within sequences, and it's like, okay, now that we finished up their storyline, now you got to go to the next part. And it does feel that very much like we need to wrap this shit up. Like, let's get going.
Like, I get that it's hard to like wrap up a story that's especially as sprawling as that, but I also like. I know a lot of people will think of this as a bad example. I think of it as a good example, but I immediately think of how Mass Effect 3 handled it. Because, like, okay, of course, yes, ending of Mass Effect 3 is bad. Not a controversial take at this point. But basically everything leading up to that point, I think handled things really well overall. because the way it handled them is it was less like we'll resolve all of these storylines at once, and more like we're going to this planet, we're going to have this story arc, and that's going to wrap up this storyline. So you were just kind of gradually wrapping up major plot events as you went along. But then again, with Kingdom Hearts being how it is, I don't even know how you could do that, given like you're spending all the time on Disney Worlds, which have their own stories.
Yeah, 3 was just really terribly paced. And I haven't touched Remind. I still have to, like, that's the thing I haven't touched yet, but I've heard that it's fixed a lot of things, or at the very least explained things.
Explains things better. Kyrie gets a little bit more stuff to do, which is nice, because holy fuck, does she not get anything. You get to play her in the DLC, as far as I know. I haven't touched it yet, but I know that was, like, the big deal of, like, holy shit, you actually get to, like, play as Kyrie, and she actually feels like she has something to do, because it's literally, like, by the end of 3, it's like...
3 did my girl so fucking dirty. I will never forgive that game for that.
Yeah, you kind of, like, pegged one of the major issues of 3, and a lot of people defend 3 fairly by saying, let's like, well, the other Kingdom Hearts have the same problem of, like, meandering on Disney Worlds, and that's fair, but this game really has the problem. Like, it's really bad in 3. It feels, like, very distracting.
Exactly, but, like, even on top of that, just because it was a problem in 1 and 2 doesn't mean, like, it absolves 3.
Yeah, and you know what would have been an interesting way to fix that problem in 3 that actually would have made it much better without actually having to change the design of, like, visiting Disney worlds, is have each world be a place that a different, like, set of cast member goes.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the start of it, it's like, oh, here's... Lee and Kyrie, they're training to become, like, Keyblade Masters. You got Riku doing his thing, and then it's like, okay, Sora, you need to train to become a Keyblade Master and awaken your power of awakening. Go visit some worlds until you figure that out. And that's all the setup you have to go out.
Someone please teach Nomura what pacing is.
Yeah, it's that. Because at least with, like, Kingdom Hearts 1, it's justified in that, like, Sora's going to find Riku. He's going to visit these worlds because he's like, where's Riku? Where's Riku? Fair enough. 2, he's fighting off organization members, and, like, that's kind of your driving thing. With 3, it doesn't feel like you're visiting the worlds for any reason other than to visit these worlds, and that's about it. When they get there, it always feels like, well, where do we go? What are we doing? Yeah. Oh, there's Heartless? Okay, that's the answer to that, is you go deal with the Heartless.
It needed a, like, solidified final destination of some variety.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, sure, we had a really great scene in which Woody, like, tells Xehanort to fuck off and that nobody has ever loved him. But,
also Sully fucking yeets Vanitas.
But, like... was Sully yeeting Vanitas and Woody, like, Daddy Woody, like, giving the verbal smackdown on Xehanort really worth cramming all the actually important shit to, like, the last half hour of the game?
Because that last half hour is packed with, like, just payoff after payoff after payoff. And it's really good. I enjoyed it, but it almost feels, like, overwhelming how much it took to get there versus, like, nothing in that middle part. When, like I was saying, it's like if you kind of gave these different cast members these worlds, and it's like, okay, Riku and Kyrie, as part of your training, go here and solve this problem, or go get this, like, you know? If they each had objectives to go solve.
Exactly. It could have very easily tied into something instead of just, like, an hour of nothing in Frozen Land.
Oh, the Frozen world is so bad. It's so... Oh my god, that was the part where I was just like, man, I'm just not having fun with this game at this point. But yeah,
it's so bad.
But overall, like, I still will say I enjoyed my time with Kingdom Hearts. As much as that we're poo-pooing on it, I did enjoy it by the end of it, and I will be getting the DLC just because I'm curious. But it's just there's a lot of flaws.
Best outfits.
Yeah. And then there was another. Oh, have none of us touched Death Stranding?
I guess not. Yeah, no. Like, it's on my list. It absolutely is, and I want to get on it. But my PS4 is down right now.
Yeah, for me, it was just I just didn't take the time, and honestly hearing stuff about it, I'm like, I can wait.
Like, it's one of those games where, like, looking at it, I know I'm going to love it because, like, it specifically caters to my kind of dorky-ass, artsy nerd taste. But, like, you know, it'll be there. It'll be there later. Probably more stable. Probably with updates, and probably $20.
I mean, they updated it with, like, here's bigger text, and I was like, oh, shit, someone's actually paying attention. But yeah,
Kojima
just
took
nothing
a note.
really incentivized me to, like, rush to get it.
Yeah, like, I'm sure it's great, and I'm sure, like, I'll really enjoy it when we get around to it. But, like, I've got other cozy games to play.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, with that, we're gonna quickly talk about DMC5, which I think, even without talking with you two, I already knew this was gonna be our, like, collective game of the year.
Yeah, I think, like, communally between all of us, we're kind of required to, right? Like, legally. Like, our channel will get shut down. Like, both of our channels will get shut down.
Itsuno comes to, like, break my knees.
Matt Walker just shows up and, like, hits us over the head with that fucking, like, $5,000 jacket.
So, yeah.
Wasn't it $8,000?
Oh, God.
I think so. One of them was. One of them was a little bit pricier. But... yeah, I'm so fucking happy with how this game came out. Even, like, thinking about it, like, what, 7 months later, I'm still so happy that this game came out as good as it could have, because it's a series that was, like, dormant for 10 years / 7, depending on how you feel about, or not 7, 5, depending on how you feel about DMC Devil May Cry. Itsuno could have just lost it in that time frame, and some people arguably will say that because of the whole controversy with reversals and inertia being taken out and blah blah blah. But, like, this was such a good...
those are valid concerns and they're valid critiques, but, like, the whole of the game is so good that, like, I just can't imagine letting that, like, override everything else, especially when, like mods are a thing. The mods immediately became a thing.
Yeah, like, if you are that hyper specific type of fan, like, good on you, like, you fucking go to town on those mods. But in terms of, like, just as a finished product that released to the public for what it is, 5 I think is as good as it could have been realistically.
Yeah, like, I still feel like overall DMC3 is a bit tighter, it's a bit more consistent, it's a bit stronger, but, like, 5 ain't no slouch, not in the least.
I still think, like you were saying, 3 is more consistent. 3 is just better paced, definitely better paced in terms of, like, story content. But 5 has some high highs, especially if, like us, you've been playing this series forever, like, since 1. Like, this game just had so much love and adoration to it, especially for, like, Devil May Cry 1, which Itsuno didn't touch. That's, like, the only game of Devil May Cry that Itsuno had 0 contact with.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like it was forgotten by the wayside. He included so much of stuff that happened in 3, characters from 4, and it was a really nice just, like, culmination to this storyline that I really hope that a potential Devil May Cry 6 just continues a new storyline. Like, I don't really think I need to see more Dante or Virgil as
I want to see more
leads.
of their movesets. I don't necessarily need the characters. I'm okay with, like, the franchise moving along and, like, fanning out and becoming broader, especially if that means we can get more out of it.
Yeah.
But, like... But I'm not gonna lie, I will be sad if we move, like... what's life if I can't fucking, like, use Dante's overdrive, you know?
Yeah, and that,
like, if I can't perform Prop Shredder, why do I even wake up in the morning?
No, I get you. I get you. I do agree that I would like to see their movesets go forward. Just like I would have liked to see Trish's moveset in the game, her moveset from 4, because I really like how Trish plays.
Or any post-launch support.
Yeah, God, that's the one thing that's, like, just a big...
I'm still that's the only, like, legitimate bummer about this whole thing is, like, it really feels like not even they knew for a minute that like this wasn't going to be like a supported thing. Because if they came out really early and said, we're just dropping the base game, there's not going to be any DLC, there's no plans for any of that, we're just dropping the game, like, I think it would have made it much easier. But even now, even fucking now, there are still people, I keep seeing them, who are just like, oh, this awards event is coming up, maybe there's going to be a reveal.
Well,
maybe
it's
maybe
not just
we're going
that.
to get the announcement.
It's not just that. Anytime there's like any form of tweak to either the game or the Steam page, it's always like, oh, is this it? Are they getting ready to drop the DLC? And it's like, I have faith that there is something coming. It does feel like something's coming. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen is the PS5 and the Series X. God, that's my first time having to actually say that unironically. Terrible name. But the new Xbox, like, those are going to drop. Then DMC5 is going to get a special edition. Yeah.
That's when we're going to get, like, the Virgil DLC and all of that shit. We're not going to get traditional DLC. We're going to get another special edition because, A, this is still Capcom and that's what they do, and B, it incentivizes you to buy it again on a new console.
Yeah, sadly. That's just how it is. But
yeah, it'll be DLC for PC, and that's it. It may not even be DLC for PC. They may just straight up make you buy the special edition. Would not be the first time.
Yeah. Jade, what are your thoughts on DMC5? You've been a little quiet on this one because we've been freaking out.
Well, I'm not good at these games. I don't really play these games much. I try, I cry, and then I watch my friends who are good at it play the game. But
What are your opinions on Nico?
Oh, I love Nico, and I am very excited to cosplay her again, but like putting on because I use temporary tattoo paper, and I print out her entire full body tattoo sleeves, and I had to put them on me, and it takes forever, but it's so worth it because I never feel cuter in my whole goddamn life than when I'm Nico.
It's a really great cosplay.
You would know.
Yeah.
But I think on a story level, it is probably the strongest. It's the most thematically consistent, and it wraps up on a really strong-ass note. I don't think I would mind if this was kind of the last we saw of like Dante, Nero, and Virgil as our main players. Obviously, I think you can do more with Nero. Sure, Nero's kind of had his full character arc, but I think you could have Nero be the new Dante and then start introducing a new cast. Or at the very least, explore the ladies a little more. I think, now I'm a little biased just because I love Lady and Trish and Nico so much, but like, where's our fucking 10-2 but for the ladies?
There were rumors of a Ladies' Night DLC, like, when it originally dropped. And, like, I still find it so fucking weird that they made all of these characters in the special edition and then just abandoned them.
It is very weird, especially because there is, like, the assets sitting right there for Trish and Lady. Like, their models in
Virgil
there
especially
models
is quite
in-game.
literally right there.
Yeah, like Modders literally like tore his model out along with its moveset, and it's perfectly functional.
Yeah, like I'm mildly surprised we haven't just gotten like a playable Virgil mod yet, but then again, it's probably ill balanced and all of that. Like, I'm sure there's some good reason for it.
Oh yeah,
but
100%.
Yeah, it is super weird. Like, because like why would you make a special edition of like a decade-old game? Because that's legitimately what I assumed, is they were doing the special edition effectively as a warm-up, as like a testing grounds for DMC5, and then all of the stuff they did for it just kind of didn't get added in.
Yeah.
I almost feel like there was like some kind of like remember how Sonic 2, there were two versions of it. They had two teams making two different Sonic 2s at one point, and one of them made Sonic CD and the other made actual Sonic 2. I feel like something like that had to have happened in some way. But yeah.
But
it's
I will
ultimately relatively minor nitpicks.
Yeah, to what Jade was saying, that kind of piggybacks off that. Despite it being like, oh man, Capcom being like this, I don't think there's ever been a hyper moment to me in terms of like the DMC, story than the ending of Mission 19, where you go,
no, easy.
Oh my god, that fucking moment was great. And
what I will definitely say without reservation, I do not know if this is necessarily the game of the year, like the best thing that got released this year. What I will say without hesitation is that moment you're describing easily the best single moment out of any game this year. It's not even fair. Yeah. I lost my shit so goddamn hard, and I still get chills when I see it. It's so well done.
Oh yeah, it's masterfully done. Like just the cinematography, the music, just the build up is so great. And
literally everything works together.
And I think back on it as we were talking about, I was thinking back on it. I streamed this game, and I remember getting to the end of it. I had such a fucking huge smile on my face by the end of it, by the end of finishing the game, of just being like, yes, like this was a fucking great game. I fucking just loved it. And just having my expectations met and succeeded in some ways. Exceeded in some ways. Yeah. I had to fucking fit that in there, or else someone would have called me a hack. But yeah, to actually have Itsuno fulfill his promise, to me at least, where he was going to hit that mark, and he did, felt so great. Because so often you build up a game like this in your head. Like, the perfect comparison is Kingdom Hearts 3. Because I've also been waiting for that game forever, and I got to the end, I was like, oh yeah, that was an enjoyable game. Okay, yeah, it had its moments. Whereas, I ended 5, and I was, almost in tears from just, how, much I was smiling,
Yeah, I remember, while I was playing through it, I got into, I think it was, around mission 16 or so, and I think it was, the exact moment I found Cerberus. It was around that point where I realized that I'd basically just had a permanent grin on my face for, the past hour, and no matter what I tried to do to remove it, I just couldn't. I genuinely... that, it was such a peak video games moment. I was fucking 12 again. Fucking, fighting the, oh god, how am I blanking on the name of it? What's the big purple reaper from DMC3? Hell Vanguard, yeah.
Yeah.
It brought me exactly back to that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that there was just something, it was very just pure. It was just a very pure excitement about video games. And in the days of a very cynical world, you kind of almost have to just treasure those moments.
I officially award Devil May Cry 5 the most video game of 2019.
Why you gotta do it like that?
It can be a good thing sometimes.
Calling something a video game is never a good thing.
David Cage.
I think one of my favorite parts about Devil May Cry 5 that I think gets overlooked is the visual design. V's design is great. Nero's redesign makes him look way cooler. I liked 100%. His edgy boy, Hot Topic look, but now he kind of has his own flavor, which also is kind of the point of Devil May Cry 5, is him being I'm the man now.
I am my own person.
V is a very distinctive kind of cool. He's a very unique kind of cool.
Honestly, V is what Devil May Cry needed, because, you play Dante and Nero if you're a top.
I knew you were going to go in this direction. I goddamn knew you were going in this direction.
You play V if you're a bottom. This is bottom representation.
As soon as she started talking about it, I knew that's the right direction she was going.
Jokes aside, I think that he brought a lot of, new flavor to the series. He plays different, and I think that, it kept it from being a bit too samey. Also, I love the design for Nero's Devil Trigger.
Yes.
Because, holy shit, that's a fucking SMT goddamn Persona bullshit right there. That's so good.
It's really good. I really like V, and I really appreciate what they tried to do with him. And, I think the idea of a like action game puppet master character. First off, I want to say I fucking called it. I'm pretty sure I called it. I think that's what I predicted in the in our original discussion about it when that first trailer got revealed.
Something of like a puppet master astral, not astral chain, a Chaos Legion type deal.
Yeah. But what was it like? I think he's very great. I'd love to see another character with that kind of design to him. Although Itsuno, I'm begging you, make it easier to like control your puppets and like position them.
Yeah.
Because half that I find is just about the biggest issue with V is it's very easy to what was it like say start a charge move with Griffin and then just him not do it in the right place, or the enemy just moves away while it's charging. There's a lot of ways to just completely miss important things that you're trying to do, and then you just summon Nightmare anyways and everything gets devastated.
I will say that like you already had Dante and Nero, two full move sets, each unique in their own ways that could do really cool shit. Adding in a third character that was also distinct in a very unique way was impressive. Even if you have gripes about it, I still think you have to give credit to them for doing something wholly different from them.
Yeah, no, like I absolutely appreciate like what they were trying to do with V and what they did do with V. I still find him really fun to play. It's just he has the unfortunate like the unfortunate happenstance of being paired up in the exact same game with what are probably the two most deep and like rich mechanical characters in any action game ever.
Yeah. I mean, I had more fun learning Nero or learning V and playing around with V than I did with most other action type games this year.
Yeah, no, like I think you could very easily make a game where V is literally the only character, like not necessarily him per se, but you know the mechanics of him.
Yeah.
And if I bought that game and played it, I'd be pretty content. Like it may not be like my favorite thing ever, but like I would most certainly feel like it was a thing worth doing, and that's more or less how I feel about V. You know, he's got his flaws. He's got things that I would like to see improved about his kit, especially a bit more synergy.
Yeah.
But like overall, yeah, no, it's deeply impressive that they were even able to find that kind of like variance in the first place. Although he is responsible for the worst mission in the game. Mission 14 sucks ass. It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I have contention with some of the other missions that are just a bitch to get S rank on, but fair.
Yeah, no, the grading system is kind of fucky.
Yeah.
Like, and I say this as someone who like has really gone out of their way to try and analyze all of them and see what they value. And to this exact moment, I can't fully tell you what the DMC5 like style meter values. I know it's values like combos, of course, but like I don't know, feels like there are times where I'll like have triple S throughout an entire fight and then finish it and it's like, oh, you have 3,900 total style points, and I'm like, that's fucking nothing.
Yeah, it's really busted and weird.
Yeah, it's really obtuse. It's really obtuse and hard to follow, and it makes it feel like most of the S ranks are somehow way too easy to get, but also way too hard.
Yeah, there's very little middle ground. It's either like that was the easiest S rank ever, or this is my 20th time trying to get it.
Yeah, like you wind up kind of... And to be fair, like if you're just chasing S ranks, you're going to find yourself just grinding it out at some point, like replaying the same mission over and over again until you get that good run. But at the same time, like that's not the same as what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like... You're doing that because you're making mistakes in that run, things you know you can and should correct. Whereas in 5, like, God, I don't know how many times I ran Mission 10 trying to get that S rank, and I did eventually, but I don't know what I did differently.
Yeah, same with Mission 18. 18 is really bad for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But outside of that, game of 2019.
Yeah, the most video game of 2019.
Are you sure you want to describe it like that?
Yeah, no, I'm sticking by that.
That feels like an insult.
Do we have other thoughts of the year? Any other like how do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about the year as a whole? I guess it would be the better option.
Like, I feel like this wasn't necessarily a blowout year or anything, but it was a year of consistent quality. I felt like throughout, from beginning to end, it was very easy to find something worth playing.
Yeah, there's very few games that I ran into where I was like, man, that was a disappointment. And there's like a huge list of games that we didn't even mention, like River City Girls, I really enjoyed. I haven't dug
Luigi's
into
Mansion
it, but
3.
it's really good. Is Disco Elysium. Like I could pull up a list of just like, here's some quality games. None of us, I think, either touch Control either.
Yeah, no. Yeah. That completely slipped me by. And the gift that keeps on giving, of course, Fallout 76 keeps happening somehow. It's 2019, the end of 2019. And we could probably have like a full podcast just about that.
That's good. That's the just gift that keeps on coming, and every other day there's some news story about like players have found blank.
I still, that like still that's still the game of 2018. No game brought me more joy in 2018 than Fallout 76.
The cats of video games.
It's potentially the game of 2019 too. It just keeps happening.
That's the most video game.
Like part of what I find so impressive about Final Fantasy XIV is how it was able to create a baseline and then continue to build on that and be more impressive as time goes on. Fallout 76 is like the literal opposite of that, and I love it almost as much for it.
You shouldn't.
It's great. Every time I hear more Fallout 76 news, my day gets better.
And it also resulted in that Todd Howard E3 talk, where he had to like awkwardly admit that they fucked up, but he had to do it in a really like try to do it in a really cheeky way.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you guys fucked up. Just like, why are you pretending otherwise?
What was it? Two more while I'm thinking of it, because I know we'll rightfully get chewed out if we don't mention it. Baba Is You.
Oh, Baba Is You is really good.
Yeah.
That's just a really solid ass puzzle
big.
game.
And I don't know if any of us have played it. I know I haven't. But The Outer Wilds.
I haven't touched it. I need to play it.
I know what it is. I kind of spoiled myself. I almost regret doing that now, but having done that, deeply creative and original game. Very smart. Very, very original. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Just two really
played it.
interesting, unique puzzle type games.
Yeah. Good year for indies, all things considered, I feel like.
100%.
Because there was also like Sayonara Wild Hearts.
I still need to play that game because it looks like it was made for me.
Yeah.
There's girls, it's neon, there's swords, they're all on bikes.
And of course the ultimate indie game, Death Stranding.
So anyway, that was the end of 2019. Before we wrap up, what are you guys anticipating for next year?
Final Fantasy VII remake. What's March? Like everything in March.
Everything, yeah. March is
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Which... that is gonna eat my whole life. Just letting you know that you're never gonna see me again when Animal Crossing happens.
Oh no, I'm very aware.
Jade finally becomes the isekai.
God.
I'm just running through a quick list here because I want to make sure I'm not wrong.
Cyberpunk. Is Cyberpunk out yet?
Next year.
Cyberpunk is next year.
It's also that early. The like end of quarter one, start of quarter two is like packed with shit because it's Animal Crossing, Doom Eternal. We have that Half-Life VR thing that's kind of TBA quarter one.
Oh, No More Heroes 3.
Oh yeah, No More Heroes 3.
Resident
Evil 3.
That's gonna rule. Oh yeah, Resident Evil 3.
That thing just got dropped. They're just like, oh yeah,
2020
it's out in
is going to
three
be
months.
a comically good year.
I think if it's shaping up as good as it seems to be, depending on how the latter half is, this could be another 2017. This is like the dying year. This is the last year of the PS4, Xbox One. There's no excuse for like games that don't get the hardware and can't use them to the fullest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot. We mentioned this on a previous podcast, but there's that game that we were kind of looking forward to, Spiritfarer.
Oh, right.
That super, like...
That super cutesy pirate game?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm super down for that.
I gotta put that on my wish list.
There's also Psychonauts 2, which definitely won't be a debacle, I promise.
No.
Oh, Tim Schafer.
That's gonna be fun. I hope you're having a great day, Tim. That's all I'll say. I hope you have a good Tuesday.
But yeah, I think for most of us, it's gonna be seeing how FF7 remake comes out, because.
Oh, and Half-Life Alyx, that's a thing.
Yeah, I said that. I said it's out end of quarter one. At some point.
I missed that.
Yeah, like you said, whatever the fuck that is.
There's a new Oddworld game? What the fuck?
What the fuck? There's a new Oddworld game?
Oddworld Soulstorm? Weird. Okay.
I really liked Abe's Odyssey as a kid.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad the franchise is still alive. It's a really cool and interesting franchise. I just did not expect like it to be still happening.
I doubt we're gonna
I have a million questions, but we're like already super deep into this.
Yeah, one last one that I'm gonna mention that I'm actually really excited for whenever the English are deemed worthy. The new Yakuza game.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yakuza Like a Dragon /7, because I'm very curious on the idea that it's the Yakuza world but a new protagonist. But
I'm so hyped for
I'm
that.
kind of worried because seeing the new trailers, I like it because I'm like, I love these characters. I don't want to see them entirely go, but also it feels very like fan servicey. Is there you see bits of Majima and Kiryu and some of the older cast in trailers, and it's like, man, I really hope that's like a side mission or something. Like, I really don't want them to be like prominent characters because it kind of would be detracting of the point of a new protagonist. Or if it is, I hope it's like maybe a passing of the torch thing.
Yeah, they would have to give it like a DMC5 treatment.
Yeah, because because like the pitch of 7 of this new game is like, it's not going to be in what's the little town? I forget. It starts with a K. Whatever the little district in Yakuza world is. I'm terrible at fucking names.
Kamurocho?
Kamurocho, thank you. It's not in Kamurocho. It's in an entirely new district and area. Entirely new protagonist, and a new gameplay system where it plays more like an RPG, like a turn-based RPG, and you have like party members with you. So it's like they were actively
I'm just
like,
imagining
this is a
tiny
new
like
type.
Majima sprites, like FF6 style Majima sprite.
Oh, I want one now.
Yeah, no, so do I. I want that keychain. Holy shit!
But
Any
yeah,
artists out there, that's a free idea. I'll buy it.
Yeah. But yeah, they were going like really hard on like, this is meant to be like a new thing in the Yakuza series. Like, we're really like pushing a new boundary. And then to see Kiryu and Majima in trailers, it's like, I really hope you're not like stuck in your comfort zone. I really hope this is just kind of like a little fan servicey thing. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still excited for that. I'm really still pumped for it.
Could just turn out to be like the Mega Man X Maverick Hunters of the Yakuza games.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
What an esoteric deep cut.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's for a
Everyone
couple. That's
who
for like
remembers
a
that game.
handful of people.
Yeah, no, like there's gonna be like 2 people who are just like, holy fucking shit.
Oh,
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
not really excited for it. Really quickly, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
That's going to be a video game.
Yeah, that's gonna be a Dragon Ball game.
Yeah, fucking Minecraft Dungeons Forever.
We could literally go on forever just like skimming through the list of like what's coming out next
Let's just
year.
list off every game released in 2020.
Did we have to mention Minecraft Dungeons?
You're right. I should have mentioned Fortnite too.
Anyway, I think that's our wrap up for the year. Tell us in the comments what you're looking forward to and what your games of the year were.
Yeah, this has been a wild year. This has been something.
I think that just about wraps it up for us, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a podcast.
Yeah, I think that's about it. What was it? Anyways, yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you all for listening.
This is Jade.
This is Fox.
And this is Ryan. Love you all. See you soon. Peace.
Ryan, what's your opinions on the new Star Wars movie?
Fuck it!
Ah!
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I got distracted by Naruto, so...
It's okay, we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been distracted by Naruto while recording our video game podcast.